So often we look for signs that maybe we've found our soulmate, or a relationship that feels like an emotional roller coaster is actually going somewhere good. Trust me, I've been there. But the signs we get are not always the signs that we're looking for. And this 100% has been my experience too. So today I want to talk through 5 signs that divine guidance is telling you it's time to move on. My name is Christina, and this channel is dedicated to helping you recognize and overcome the effects of emotional abuse. And if you think you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, I have a free download with a checklist that can help you figure that out. So if you've been around this channel for a while, you may have heard some of my stories of divine guidance. And if you haven't checked out my spiritual awakening story, it's one of the first videos that I did, but it was an extremely powerful experience, and even more powerful were the comments that you guys left sharing similar experiences that you had. Because I do believe in my core that relationships that we have with narcissists as adults are meant to teach us something. They're meant to shine light on the things that we have yet to heal. And I know from my own personal experience that there were plenty of things that I did need to heal, but I was turning a blind eye to them. I felt like, you know what, it's not that bad. It's not that painful. I can just go on. I'm fine. But then when you have an experience that makes the pain of ignoring things greater than the pain of actually dealing with them and working through them, that's when it's time for a transformation. So this is why I believe that we do get signs. We do get some divine guidance in relationships that are taking us away from who we are meant to be. They're separating you from your sense of self. Because I don't know about you, but I believe that we are all here for a purpose. And that purpose is not to be manipulated or used as a pawn in someone else's game. So let's dive in with the first sign, and that is a persistent intuition. It's just a gut feeling that something is off. And you may have this feeling even before anything bad goes down, even before any abusive behavior shows up. So this can be a feeling that you have in the beginning of a relationship, in the love bombing phase, when everything is great and you're feeling good. You might just get the feeling that something's a little bit off. Or later on, you may be feeling that pull of a trauma bond that keeps you feeling like you need this person in order to feel good about yourself. But at the same time, there's something inside that's telling you that just this knowing that this relationship has served its purpose. So it's not necessarily easy to get out when you're feeling these conflicting feelings, but if they're there, your intuition, your gut feeling, and maybe some divine guidance is telling you it's time to move on, that you are ready. So another sign that you're getting divine guidance that it's time to move on is that you're being presented with the same lessons over and over again. So you are experiencing, maybe it's the same type of betrayal over and over again on repeat. And this does happen in relationships with narcissists. I'm a firm believer that things come into our awareness only when we are ready for them. So there may have been a time in your life where you were going through these patterns and you felt like a little bit victimized by it. Like it's just your luck, or maybe you have some bad past life karma, or the universe has it out for you. But when it is time to start moving on, you have that general sense of knowing that these painful experiences that keep coming up as patterns are there for you to identify and to work through. So another sign that divine guidance is telling you to move on is that you no longer feel aligned with this relationship. So you're much more easily identifying the abusive patterns in this other person and the unhealthy behaviors and coping mechanisms. And not just that, but you can see it in other people too. And maybe you can even see it in yourself. But even though you're aware of the patterns and why people do the things that they do, you feel kind of almost repelled by it. Like where people like that kind of drew you in before, now you feel a little bit more uncomfortable around them. It's like as if you were once aligned with that person. Maybe you were on that same wavelength, that same frequency, but you've grown so much spiritually and emotionally that you are no longer on that same wavelength. And while it still might not be easy to let go, it feels a little bit easier and kind of just like it's time. So this next sign goes hand in hand with the last one, and that is you feel drained. You feel like this person drains your energy. So where you did once feel aligned with them and with their energy, now it just feels heavy. It feels like a burden. It kind of feels like after being around this person, you need some time to detox, to decompress, because you're very aware of the negative energy that they're bringing to the table. And this next sign is my favorite, and it is synchronicities and actual signs. So all of these signs very much have to do with an internal sense of knowing and a trust in your intuition. And synchronicities are very much aligned with that. So you may see things that are related to your situation, and they may pop up in unexpected places. It's something that stands out to you because you know that it has a meaning. And that meaning can be difficult to explain, but again, it's more of just a knowing. And I'll give you an example of a type of knowing that I experienced as I was just starting to move away from a relationship with a narcissist. So I had had a conversation with this person in which I said the phrase, "It felt like divine intervention." And this was in reference to something that was very much about me getting out of the relationship. The very next day, I went to a cafe and there was a total stranger sitting next to me, and she had dropped a penny and it fell between the seat cushions. So it was not heads or tails, it was just kind of on its side. And she looked at me, we hadn't spoke at all before this. She looked at me and she said, "Hey, look at that. What do you think that means?" And I said, "Well, I guess that means you choose your own luck." And she said, "Yeah, my boyfriend would say that too. But I like to believe in a little something called divine intervention." And yes, I was completely freaking out inside. Divine intervention isn't something that typically comes up in conversation, especially not with a total stranger. But I definitely took that as confirmation that I was on the right path. And if you're seeing signs and synchronicities like this too, I suggest you do the same. Because if it feels meaningful to you, that's really all you need. That is incredibly powerful. People will try to gaslight you and say, "Oh, these things are coincidence, and it's no big deal. Stuff like this happens all the time." And I do believe that stuff like this does happen all the time. But I also believe that stuff like this is meaningful. And if you're interested in learning more about synchronicities and how they relate to relationships like this, I suggest you watch this video right here.